like to work on opposing behaviors, right? So we're going to start working on recall. When I work on recall, I don't want to have this out. Again, I want to make sure that there's different pictures for the dog. You guys have some kind of check cord or long leash. Should wrap this up a little better, buddy. Two things, these are just little details, pet peeves of mine. I clipped a new line on him before I unclipped the old line. Okay, the number of people that were trying to hang on to a collar while they took one leash off and put another one on, and then their dog gets away and gets hit by a car, it's like a lot, right? So until he's really responsive to you, the default is like waiting to see what you want him to do. Yeah. At least in like more urban and suburban areas. It's rock climbing rules, man. Like, you don't unhook yourself before you're hooked into something else, right?
We are rock climbers.
You are?
Yeah.
Nice, okay. You're not like those weird free climbers. You don't do that stuff, do you?
And it's been harder to climb with him,
yeah. So now what I'm going to do, don't pet him, it's fine that he's over there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start tapping this button, and I'm just going to walk backwards, okay? Yes. So I'm just tapping until he turns and takes a step towards me right now, and then I'm going to reward him for doing that. So I'm going to mark and then make him come the rest of the way to me to get the reward. I'm not going to like toss it to him, and that's how we're going to finish the recall. Over time, if he's doing something that he's not supposed to do, right, then I call him back. Maybe I'll put pressure all the way in, or later when we've worked on retrieving, then he goes and picks up a bird and he doesn't really want to come back with it. We'll apply pressure until he's heading my direction, and then we stop. And then maybe he tries to make a U-turn again, apply pressure, read command. He's going to come the rest of the way in, and then maybe we put a little bit of pressure on how he finishes, because a lot of people want their dog to either swing into heel, or they want their dog to come to front and then sit and present, right? So whichever way we want to teach it, we can stylize it later, right? It's just teaching the basic behavior now. Okay. We're going to wait for him to wander a little bit. Tap, tap, tap. Yes. So I'm waiting until he makes an actual direction turn towards, oh, we're caught on your nub there, bud. You actually have a longer tail than most.
We like that a lot about him.
Right, so him circling around me is not recall. Recall is come to me, so I need to pay attention to the direction he's moving. Now, right, he's gotten rewarded by me recently, so he's like, that guy, that's right, he's more fun than my people. Right? Yes. Okay, so this is how we're going to work on recall. Separate sessions all week this week. Okay. Okay. We call this having a sticky dog, right? So when we get this, then we'll start working on send away, recall, send away, recall, send away, recall, right? I don't know if you'll get to the point where you can do that this week at home, probably, because he's picking stuff up really fast. But when I start seeing that, right, then I'm going to start doing opposing behaviors, because what he's going to try to do is when I send him to kennel and then I start backing up, he's going to anticipate the recall, and I'm going to need to re-cue kennel and tell him to get back up there, so he understands you have to listen and think. You don't get to just assume what you're supposed to do, right? So we'll do a couple more of these because I haven't used a command yet. Are you guys using come or here? Okay.
We've been working on this.
Come. Yes. Right? So I'm just adding the command and then applying pressure until he completes the action, right? Or at least shows commitment to it, I guess is a better way to say it. And then we'll walk away again. Okay? Another thing I can do with this one, because he's coming to me now, is I can provide what we call an indirect reward. So direct rewards are rewards that the dog gets when they're actively engaged in the behavior. So if I feed him when he's up on the table for kennel, then that's a direct reward.
Yeah.
The way I mark and he comes to me, he's getting a reward for kennel somewhere else, right? He's actively doing something else. So that's an indirect reward. It's still for kennel, but it happened indirectly. So likewise, if I go, come, yes. Indirect reward.
Sure.
That also sets up my next repetition, right? So this is another way to work on recall when I have an already sticky dog. I just toss my food away, it sets up my next rep.
Mm-hmm.
Cool? Talk too long. Come, yes, right? And so we're working at an 8. He obviously feels this, but isn't bothered by it. 10, he was starting to squeak a little bit, right? The difference between 8 and 10 is not that much.
Right.
Your dog's being a bit of a wuss about it, right? But it's okay, right? Come.
Sensitive beach love.
Yes, good boy. Most of them that I have met are.
He's actually, we know several, he's the least sensitive out of all of them.
Listen, the thing with, if you have a dog that requires little pressure, but also tolerates it pretty good, which he is, that's like the best of everything, right?
Yeah.
When you have a dog that requires a lot of pressure and doesn't tolerate it well, that's when you have a nightmare on your
Yeah.
hands, right? Come. Yes, good boy. And so we're getting the turn now without me having to use leash pressure
Right.
anymore.
Right.
Right? So now we have both of these behaviors where we've been able to transition from come, yes, from leash and collar to e-collar, but I have a line on him all the time because if he does refuse, like I've seen dogs blow through e-collar. Come, yes. I've seen dogs blow through e-collars, right? That's a good boy. That's a very good boy, right? And this is what I'm looking for. So we start getting this anticipation where he started walking towards you. Come. Yes. And now I give him a cue and I don't have to apply pressure at all,
Right.
right? Good boy. The other thing about your reward marker is it doesn't predict the quantity or quality of reward. So it's helpful if I mix this stuff up,
Sure.
right? It's helpful if I mix this stuff up, and so that time he got a little bit bigger reward than he's got before. If every time it's, you do a thing and you get a penny, you do a thing and you get a penny. So the longer I let him hang out over here with you guys, the more distracting this becomes, right? Come. Yes. And then the longer I withhold when he does do what he's supposed to do, the longer I hold the reward marker, the more of this behavior we'll get.
Sure.
If I get a high level of excitement just for the turn, and then maybe I can maintain that high level of excitement through the first couple steps towards me, then eventually if I keep withholding my reward marker longer and longer, I get a very excited, right, motivated recall response. I don't want a dog that just casually trots back to me. It's going to be slow right now because this is largely a function of distance.
Yeah.
He can't pick up enough speed to be in an all-out run, right, to get here. But when you start, we do take this line off or let it drag, and we're doing this from further and further away, right? Because I'd like you to be able to send him to a table that's 30 or 40 yards away and then recall him back, right, in the next couple weeks. So you'll see that the enthusiasm picks up a bunch there. Does this all make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.